Hello, music theory students. Today we have our second video on the scale, and we're going to be just reviewing quickly what we talked about with the major scale, and then we're going to jump right into the three forms of minor. It's very important that you keep in mind where these half steps are in the scale, because that's going to be the key to differentiating these three forms of minor, particularly between the upper part of the scale. So watch the video, do the worksheets. If you have any questions, let me know. This stuff does take a little bit of memorization, so you might have to work on it. Okay, good luck.
To simplify things visually, here we have a C scale represented on the piano keyboard with the scale degree numbers. And just as we said before, the second, fourth, and fifth scale degree are the same whether we're in major or one of the three forms of minor. It's helpful to remember the three scale degrees that do change whether you're in major or one of the forms of minor, and that would be the third, the sixth, and the seventh scale degree. In a C major scale, all of the white notes of the piano are played, and that results in half steps between the third and the fourth scale degree and the seventh and eighth scale degree. But let's change this to one of the forms of minor, which means those scale degrees with the circles around them will change. Let's begin with natural minor. In natural minor, we have a minor third between the first and the third scale degree, and we have a minor second or half step between the fifth and sixth scale degree, and the seventh makes a whole step between 7 and 8. So this is the pattern of the natural minor scale, and take careful note of where those half step locations are between the second and third scale degree and between the fifth and sixth scale degree. Our next scale is the harmonic minor scale. Its main function is to take the natural minor scale and simply raise the leading tone so that you retain the half step motion between 7 and 8. So in total we have 3 places where there's half step motion in the harmonic minor scale. And while this is interesting, unfortunately it creates somewhat of an awkward interval between the 6th and 7th scale degree, something we call an augmented second. The strange and exotic sound of that augmented second warranted a new scale, something that composers could use when you had melodies that were going from 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. So in such cases, composers would use the melodic minor ascending scale, and they would take that 6th scale degree and they would raise it by a half step. And then melodies that went 5, 6, 7, 8 would sound better to the ear. And a quick look at this scale will see that it's simply a C major scale with a lowered third scale degree, and the half step locations are between 2 and 3 and 7 and 8. But occasionally melodies move downward from 8 to 7 to 6 to 5. In such cases, composers often favor the melodic minor descending scale, which is simply the 6th and 7th scale degree lowered. If this scale looks familiar to you, you're not seeing things. It's actually identical to the natural minor scale. So it's easy to remember the melodic minor descending if you just memorize the natural minor. Okay, now that you know the 3 forms of minor, let's try building a scale from scratch. Let's say we are wanting to build a G harmonic minor scale. Well, let's begin with the scale degrees that we do know, the ones that don't change whether we're in major or minor. Let's start with the 5th scale degree, which we know is a perfect 5th up from the 1st scale degree. So that would make this a D. And the 4th scale degree is a perfect 4th up from the 1st scale degree, making that a C. And then finally the 2nd scale degree, which is a major second or whole step up from the 1st scale degree, and that would be an A. So these 3 notes are the same whether we're in major or any of the 3 forms of minor. But we wanted to build a harmonic minor scale. So let's begin with the 3rd scale degree, because we know if it's a minor scale, it has to be a minor third between the first and third scale degree. A minor third up from G is B flat. So we're almost there. All we have left to do is get the 6th and 7th scale degree. But these are the hard ones in minor because these are the ones that change. If you've studied these scales, you'll know that there's a half step in the harmonic minor scale between the 5th and 6th scale degree. So above that D, we are going to put E flat. Finally, in the harmonic minor, we find a third half step between the 7th and 8th scale degree. This is our leading tone. It's an extremely strong tendency tone that pulls us toward that top note, the 8th scale degree, which is the octave. Okay, so a half step below that G is going to be F sharp. Now, if you've written this scale correctly, you should be able to find that awkward interval of an augmented second between the 6th and 7th scale degree. And sure enough, between the E flat and F sharp there, that's your augmented second. So hopefully this helps. I think part of the key to writing scales is just memorizing, particularly that 6th and 7th scale degree in minor, and knowing the differences. And of particular importance is memorizing where those half steps occur. These are marked in yellow. So there's plenty to study this time around. Make sure you do the worksheet and do your best. Don't forget to study the scales daily. That's the only way to remember the differences. This is Dr. Sanders saying, keep it simple.